Who wants to go on the table? Okay, come. Come. Yeah. The excitement. I couldn't pass up the excitement factor. You won it with your excitement. I never know why I'll pick who, but your excitement worked. So we're going to start you face down. So the first thing that I'm going to do when I work with people, to me this is not a body therapy. This is a field process. It's not a body work. My goal is not the body. My goal is the field. So when I work, the most important thing for me when I'm working is what's happening here. And this is I tell you, if you work with people, this is one of those things I mentioned earlier. If you're working with people, either in health and wellness or in any other area, what's going on with you is affecting what's happening with the people you're working with. You want to affect things and be successful and have a positive impact on the planet and the people around you? Well, the place to start is right here. In other words, if you got something going on one day and you go in and interact with someone, that's going to affect that situation. If they have something going on and they come and they interact with you, that's going to affect your situation. If the whole planet has something going on and they have something going on and you have something going on, well now who the heck knows what's happening? Which is basically what's happening right now on our planet. From my perspective, here's the other scenario. The other scenario is you're working your perception, and again, just drop and just rest right here. If you are in Stillpoint when you work with people, the people that come, they're going to dissolve. They're going to start to unwind and dissolve through osmosis. I tell you, people on planet Earth are longing, they're craving one thing from my perspective: neutrality. That's what people are longing for, from my perspective. And that's I'm constantly cultivating this space around my body to be neutral. Which isn't necessarily easy on planet Earth right now. There's a lot of polarity happening. Yogis say this whole planet has been a lot of karma. So, that's okay. Let's start right here. Let's start dissolving what we can right here. The more you start to dissolve in neutrality, the more neutral energy of the universe is going to flow through your field. Which, if you're going to line up with something, the neutral energy of the universe is a strong thing, strong principle. When I work with someone, first place I start is the adrenal glands. And I always step back. I put the laser on, I put it over the adrenal glands. She's doing exactly what I like to see happen. I put that on the adrenal glands and I step back to about here. Why? I want to give space for her field to open and unwind. People come to me with a lot of different situations, all sorts of conditions. People come to me with injuries. Could be a pinprick. Could be a health challenge. Could be depression. Could be they've been told they've had 2 days left to live. Every one of those people I respond to in the exact same way. Every single one. I don't care if a doctor tells someone they have a couple days left to live. My view, my perspective, if they still have their body, if they're in front of me, my view is miraculous that they're here. I tell everyone. I don't say this to everyone, but what my view with every single person is if you're still here, you're doing great. And I tell people in our seminars, go home, nice pat on the back, because whatever's going on in your life, I don't care what it is, if you're still here in the body, you're doing great. And that's where we want to start to work from, that place. Again, I really mean this. Doesn't matter to me. And when someone comes to me and they tell me, oh, they have this, or oh, they've been told this, or oh, it's this, I respond the same way to everyone. And that is, I nod my head. I don't start jumping in and trying to play doctor. I don't start saying, oh, well, then we're going to do this, and have you tried this? And oh, you got to go see this person. I don't go there. I go here to neutrality. And I say, neutrality, you come and help this situation. So I nod my head, not because I don't care about what's going on. I just nod my head and smile and say, great, come, let's get you on the table. My view is that every single thing in the universe is woven from one thing, the essence of neutrality. That is the underlying substance that weaves everything from stars to galaxies to elements to cells to organs to people. And all I ever want to do in my life, when I find something that's not working so good or something's going on, I say, great, how you doing? Welcome. Let's dissolve and come back to neutrality. Let neutrality come in and do its work. Neutrality can find solutions for everything. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So the first place I work with people when I work with the laser is the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are so important for a majority of people on, at least in our society, on planet Earth. Why? Especially out here in the West Coast. Particularly good area to work on the adrenals. The adrenals release something called adrenaline and also cortisol. Adrenaline is very valuable, particularly when there's big animals chasing you. It says, get out of the way. Go up that tree over there. That's what adrenaline does. Adrenaline basically tells your entire body, stop doing what it's doing. It says stop to the thyroid, stop to the pancreas, stop to the thymus gland. It says everything stop, we got to go and get up that tree. Which is a great thing when there's a big bear chasing you down. Problem is there's not a lot of big animals chasing people nowadays. Yet people are releasing a ton of adrenaline. So what does that adrenaline do? It goes around and it tells the systems to shut down. And if people live with a lot of stress and adrenaline all day long, their systems shut down. The thymus shuts down, your immune system. The pancreas shuts down, diabetes. The thyroid shuts down, metabolism, lymph system. Pineal and pituitary shut down, depression. Prostate shuts down, ovaries shut down, fertility issues, menopause issues. From my perspective, every single condition right now on planet Earth, the underlying problem, the underlying big issue is likely adrenaline, stress. So, first place I start with everyone I work with, unwind the adrenals. Real simple. 3 points I work with most people initially. First one, adrenals. Can't say this enough. So important for people. You know, in other words, if someone comes to me and they have major, heartburn or major situation, and they want me to go and fix the knee or this, well, until we've unwound the adrenals, if I just work on the knee or that situation, they'll feel better for an hour or two. Then they'll go home. Then the adrenaline's going to kick in. Then the system's going to shut down again. Then they're going to want to come back and see me the following week. Well, my goal is I don't want to do that. I don't want to chase around all these things. I want to go right to the underlying essence of what's the problem here. Why is the body contracting at all? For that, we got to get the adrenals to unwind. So first thing I do on every person I work with is to unwind the adrenal glands. As I'm doing this, what I've been doing as I'm talking to you all, I've been doing a few things. One, I keep making sure I'm in Stillpoint. If as a practitioner, if you're not in Stillpoint and you're working with someone, guess where they are? If you're thinking, guess what they're doing? Thinking. If you're busy trying to heal them and fix them because you feel bad or you feel like that's your job or you're busy taking care of everyone around you, to all the women in the room here, guess what? They're going to be having emotion. So really, really important, make sure you're in neutrality. If you're in neutrality, people say, oh, this laser is so great. I hear all these testimonials. It's not the laser. The laser is great. It's a good tool. But the reason we have a lot of testimonials is because of neutrality. Make no mistake about it. Laser is just a tool. It sends some energy and it sends some scalar waves, which are neutral waves. Neutrality is the thing that comes in and brings solutions to people. And the laser is just one tool. Stillpoint process is another tool. I never tell anyone you need a laser. Lasers are great if you can afford it and it's a good fit. Yet, Stillpoint, it can drop things into neutrality easy. I just showed you how to do it. Take a breath, relax. Drop into Stillpoint. All right, so the other thing that I'm doing when I'm working with someone, when I'm when I step out here, the other thing that I'm doing is I'm watching to see how she's responding. Very clear to me. You can see I just put the laser on a different place. The second place that I put the laser on is the sacrum, the tailbone, the sacral area. Very important area. Sacrum comes from sacred bone. Sacred bone. As I put it on here, I'm watching to see how she's responding. And she's responding beautifully. She's going like this. Basically, she's going like this. She's kind of breathing, what I call an unwinding kind of breath. Not everyone does that. Some people I might put it on and their body's not really... When people come to me, the way I look at it, they come for a session, most people are going like this. They're really going in terms of the wave of their central nervous system. So they're going like this really fast. When I put them on the table, I'm trying 2 or 3 programs. Not a lot. I try unwind, quantum. I'm looking 3 or 4 things initially. And I'm looking for when I see this go to this. I'm looking for when this starts to go like that. And as soon as I see that happen, I'm done. I step back and I'm done. I'm good. That make sense? That's all I try to do. And I don't try too hard. Just a little bit. She's doing it exactly. How's that feel there on the table? Good. Good. Occasionally I'll check in and I'll ask someone how they're doing. I could tell she was unwinding, yet I want to show you this. Occasionally I'll ask someone, and you can tell right away, not by what they say, by how they say. If I ask someone how they're doing and they say, oh, I'm doing great, I know they're not unwinding. If they respond fast and it's from their thinking, they're not unwinding. If I ask someone, she took a moment. She didn't really want to answer. She would have just assumed. But usually they'll say, yeah, I'm great, thank you. Basically, little as possible. When people unwind, they don't want to think. They want to unwind. Someone comes to me with a knee, with an emotional situation, depression, autoimmune. All it tells me is they're not processing. So they come to me, not processing. My goal, get them on the table, and I try 3 or 4 things. Unwind, quantum, pleo, unity, wave. Few programs, not many. And all I'm looking for on one of those programs is when I see them start to unwind and breathe. Does that make sense? That's the whole essence of this process. And as soon as I see that start to unwind, then from my perspective, neutrality's back in, I'm done. I let neutrality take over. So this is really easy. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to get major training. Anyone who's here today and tomorrow, when we are done, you are going to be totally capable to work on anything that comes along. Any situation that comes along, very simple equation. Rest in Stillpoint if you can. Try the laser. Try 1, 2, 3, 4 things, 5 things. Any people doing that right now here? Raise your hand if you have laser and is that basically what people are doing? It's easy, right? Anything that comes up in my body. You can't sleep, you get a headache, you get a bump into something. Anything that comes up in my body, in my situation, I take the laser, I try this until I feel my body start to unwind. As soon as I feel that, I'm done. This is perception. The more you do this with the laser, for me, if I have a laser, I use the laser. If I don't have the laser, I open up my quantum field, I take my perception, and I dissolve whatever's going on. Whatever's going on. All right, so the sacrum is the second place that I work on with a lot of people, and the reason that it's the second place that I work on with a lot of people is because there are a ton of people. The sacrum is like the bottom of a pendulum. Or any builders here? It's like a plumb line. Anyone build? It's like the bottom of a plumb line. You know, a plumb line tells you if something's true. Right? It's true. But what does true mean? Without polarity. Different meaning of the word true. You know, in the last age, everyone true was, oh, you know, right and wrong. Is it true? You know? True has a totally different meaning. True without polarity. Polarity, karma, neutrality. You understand? You get it? So if that is the reference of true, third place that I work on is the Occipital Ridge. There's a ridge line called the Occipital Ridge between the ears. Between the ears. Occipital Ridge. Which is a really great point for a lot of people. It's a great point for her. As soon as I put it on her, it's a very good point. Many people have issues around the occipital ridge. There's a key nerve that comes out of the occipital ridge right here called the vagus nerve. Called the vagus nerve. Not named after Las Vegas. It's named after Vegas Wanderer. And the vagus nerve does everything your body does without you thinking about it. Digestion, circulation, heart rhythm, you name the function, organ functions. I mean, basically, your vagus nerve is taking care of you constantly. Excessive thinking will shut down your body's, the nerve that governs breathing, circulation, digestion, organ function, and the heart. That's a problem. That's a significant issue in our society. So again, let me just say what happens to so many people is when there is a lot of adrenaline, here's what happens. When people have a lot of adrenaline or stress, it shuts down the body and the TMJ. Anyone heard of the TMJ, temporomandibular joint? Here's what happens. When you have a lot of stress, the TMJ shuts down and goes like that. Which in 90% of the issues has nothing to do with the TMJ. It has to do with excessive stress. Yet what happens when the TMJ shuts down is that it pinches the occipital ridge in the back. Like a door. It shuts down the occipital ridge. Well, now the vagus nerve that slips out here and does this gets clamped down. And what happens? Stress. People don't breathe so well. The heart shuts down. Digestion's the first thing that shuts down. The organs shut down. Everything shuts down. So hence, when I work with someone, before I even want to deal with anything else, my goal is 1, get the adrenals unwound. 2, get the sacral area to relax and open up. And 3, get the vagus nerve to open up. Without those 3, from my perspective, without those 3 things, all balanced and at ease, it's very, very hard to turn around. It's very hard to turn around a lot of health challenges. Can't say enough. Those 3 things to me are like your home. You know, you have your foundation, you have your walls, and you have your roof. You have all 3 of those things in a solid place, you're going to have a good home experience. You got a bad foundation, not a great experience. You got nothing good to cover on the roof, not a good experience. Really, really important. Every person I work with initially, my goal is to unwind the adrenals, sacrum, and occipital ridge. Let's have you turn over to your backside. Slide a little more towards your feet. That's great. Touch more. Yeah, yeah. Good. Perfect. Thank you. Yes, please.
I have a bad problem of tinnitus.
Yes.
And it's been over a year.
Yes.
And it's the same routine that you're doing right now?
Yeah, only you can also work right up around the ear, right up on the temple. Have you done that a little bit?
It's messed up.
So everyone here is going to walk through this protocol. And the question was about ringing in the ears. And yeah, same thing, ringing in the ears. My approach, this is the first start point that I do with everyone I work with. Adrenal, sacrum, occipital ridge. Yet after that, if someone has a knee injury, an organ problem, ringing in the ears, wherever the issue is, again, just like the computer. So what do I do in that situation? Ringing in the ears. Well, I go up, I bring the laser up there, and I start first program. What's the first one I'm going to do? Unwind. And I'm going to wait, and I'm going to see, well, does that have an effect of the person dropping back in to neutrality? Just like the computer, Control-Alt-Delete. And I'll watch the person when they do it. If I don't see them really start to unwind, I take the laser back. I don't wait long. I wait maybe a minute at most, 2 minutes. If I don't see them unwinding, I take the laser, I go back, and I switch to quantum. Second key thing I do, and I'll go over these in more depth. And again, I look and I watch and I see, does that area start to unwind or is it still? And if that doesn't do it, I go to the third thing. And again, 4 or 5 things. And on every person I work with, on one of those 4 or 5 things, they usually start to relax, unwind, and dissolve. Again, you'll see, throughout the course of the weekend, people will ask me different conditions. And each condition, I'm going to respond basically the same way. I approach every condition that comes to me the same way. First thing I do is I welcome it. I invite it to unwind. If it doesn't want to unwind, I go to quantum. If it doesn't quantum, I might go to pleo or vital. If it doesn't respond pleo or vital, I go to unity or wave. And on almost every person, one of those programs, they start to unwind and dissolve. And as soon as I see that unwind, dissolve, I'm done. In the last age, everything was familiar, customary, coming from the past. Dimensionally, coming from the past. And the way I experience the new season, even things like, I don't even get too into things like, how do you say, it's very big in New Age, intention. And, good, thinking positive about things. I find any thinking to me is deleterious. And I say deleterious because for me, what I am trying to do constantly, my real attraction to being in neutrality is that when I'm in neutrality in the quantum field, I feel energy gently flowing up along the spine. And we'll get into this a little bit later. I feel energy coming up along the spine. And when I feel energy coming up along the spine, that energy bathes the glands in the brain. And the glands release this compound that to me is very blissful and feels very good. And so for me, that's, studies show that thinking, and if it shuts down the pineal and pituitary gland. They found that thinking shuts down the glands so that the glands actually get solid. To me, these glands are what are releasing really, really subtle, sweet nectar and bliss. And so, to me, the new season is about almost manifesting or expressing the future, our being, through the field. It's like the opposite. Where we were coming from the past before, we now have an opportunity to really express, like a flower expresses. A flower opens its petals and it shares its essence. You'd never go up to the flower and say, hey, what's your name again? What do you do? You'd be like, the essence just naturally flows through. And to me, this new season we're moving into is a very auspicious one that gives us, it's a very unique moment here in the experience. At least in my experience, it feels very rare. It feels like a very rare kind of moment for our people in terms of us being able to really dissolve all thought and to express that unique essence that each of us come here to share through our glands, not through the notion of who we are, who we've been in past lives, or any of that stuff. Natural expression through our DNA, through our glands, of who we truly are. What gift are we here to share? Whatever it is, even if it's an injury, whatever it is. Deepak was one of the first people years ago. Deepak Chopra, you all heard of Deepak Chopra, right? Deepak, one of the first Western-trained doctors to come out and again, he went against the stream when he did this, and he said, something's not adding up here. Something's not adding up. He said, we know the body is new every 7 or 8 years. So if the body is new every 7 or 8 years, the question becomes, why would someone have an injury 10, 15, 20 years later if your body is brand new? And what Deepak and some others came up with was this view of cellular memory, cell memory. So your injury, you got a knee injury, a shoulder, the cells in that area hold on to that information. The new cells keep coming in, yet the old cell passes that information to the new cell. And that process goes on, cell generation to cell generation. So it's really important to clear that information so the new cells can come in and be brand new, vibrant cells, instead of coming in and inheriting whatever the stress or shock or trauma was from the previous. The same thing that happens in family dynamics. Same exact thing. You know, parent has some situation, some stress, some emotion they don't want to deal with, and guess where it goes? It gets passed on to the next generation. It can be. It can be, but it also can just be a mother or a father is overly emotional, and the child is picking up that emotional, and it comes through. And then the problem is that the next generation, well, they don't want to deal with it either, you know. So their view is, well, I didn't create that, which more likely they didn't. Yet, if you want to dissolve it, you got to own it. You got to own it. You got to clear it. And then it's no longer, it's the same thing with cell memory. When we dissolve cellular memory, it clears. It's just like a cassette tape. Remember the old cassette tape? Well, if you hit erase, it flipped the polarity. As soon as it flipped the polarity, neutrality, information gone. Same thing here. This is just exact same thing. You know, you can either go through life holding on to everything from the past, which is what people in the last age have been doing. That's what's been happening here. The whole basis of our society has been, well, how many things can you grab and hold on to? What can you become? Go to school, learn this, do this, go out and do this, and activities, and do this, and do this. And the biggest thing that I see again and again with the people that I work with nowadays is that people are holding on to so much stuff. So my goal, very simply, is to invite. You get someone to start to unwind in neutrality. Everyone, again, take a nice big breath, drop into Stillpoint. My goal in life, every day, if I can define a couple things to dissolve, I'm good. So many people here are collecting a couple of things a day. New emotional challenge, a new psychological, a new belief system, a new cell memory to hold on to. Well, literally, every day. That doesn't mean I still don't have stuff I'm dealing with. Yet every day I look around my experience and I try to find, well, is there something here that we can dissolve today? Just like your garden. You have a garden. If you go into your garden, you clean up the twigs, the rocks, the weeds, a little care, and if you do, everything grows fine. No, that's not normally part of that's not normally part of the initial session. I just did it at this point. This is the violet probe. You can see it's quite a bit stronger than it looks. It's not totally visible to the human eye. And I usually finish sessions with the violet probe. You can see, if you watch how she's breathing, how she's responding, as soon as I put the violet probe on, she responded totally differently. Her body completely shifted. Watch what's going on. I'm on Unity, which is the one I normally do with the violet probe. Watch the key things I'm watching. I'm not looking at the aura. I'm not looking at chakras. All I'm doing is watching how the person breathes and the face. When they're face up, I'm looking at the face. Is it relaxed? Is it... very specific. Usually people with the violet probe, the face starts to get a little smile, a little bliss. It's how when I work with people, I can tell when the session's about done. Great, thank you very much. And there's no rush. You'd be nice and gentle getting off the table. Give her a nice, gentle round of applause. How are you doing over there? Good. Good. You can see if you look at her face and her field, really there's a definitive softness and glowing quality. Really nice. Before and after, how do you feel? You feel good? Because you look just radiant and beautiful. You look beautiful before also. But just radiant and just nice and every person I work with, when people unwind, there's a softness that happens. The eyes open. The field is this is really, really, it's a lot like massage therapy is for the body, only we're working really on the subtle faculty. We're working on the subtle faculty, the glands, the cranial system, quantum field.